Hello, guys. Welcome to Unravel, and we continue our series on the rich and the poor. We've done part 1, 2, and 3, and this is part 4, where we continue the conversation now on the poor. Every disease, every illness usually come with certain symptoms. So when you think about malaria or typhoid or asthma or ulcer, there are usually symptoms that would suggest to a medical practitioner that there is a disease that is operational in your body. So a medical doctor is taught corrective measures and preventive measures. And one of the ways that he can provide his service is to understand your symptoms. So when you visit the doctor, he would ask, how are you feeling? What are the symptoms that you are feeling? On the premise of those symptoms, he can now recommend prescriptions that will be used to tackle the disease that brings you discomfort. In the same way, poverty is a disease. And we have been trying across several episodes to dig deep into the symptoms of both the rich and the poor. And as you will get to see again in this episode, that our emphasis is always beyond the borders of financial riches and financial poverty. But the goal is to look at some of the symptoms that we have not discussed in our previous episodes on YouTube and on other channels. So you want to follow carefully to see if for any reason you have any of these symptoms, and then hopefully acquire the right prescription to cure the disease. But first things first is that poverty is a disease. And I choose the word disease over infirmity intentionally because I like the fact that disease describes that you are void of ease. When you have a disease, it means that ease is void. And that's what poverty does. Poverty takes away the ease from your life. Poverty somehow finds a way to eliminate ease from your life. And when you attain a measure of riches in any form, you have ease in your life. So we are trying to tackle the disease of poverty. Anything in this sphere that deprives you of your merited ease. And we began in the 3rd episode to describe one of the symptoms of poverty, which I had said is the most basic form of poverty, And on this episode, I want to have us dig a bit deeper into other symptoms of poverty. And the second on the list is that a poor person is a person that depends on their wealth. A poor person is a person that depends on their wealth. There is nothing wrong to attain a measure of wealth or riches. There is nothing wrong to attain a measure of financial freedom. There is nothing wrong to attain a measure of comfort in your financial status. But there is everything wrong if you are strictly depending on your financial status. If you strictly rely on what you earn, you are poor. Because you are meant to have money. Money is not meant to have you. You are meant to have riches. Riches is not meant to have you. So you can have money as much as you want, but the goal is to ensure that money never has you. And the moment you begin to depend on money, money will have you. And what happens when a person depends on money is that they will depend on money for happiness, They will depend on money for companionship. They will depend on money to build relationship. So even when they analyze the state of their friendship with other people, it's on the premise of how much money they can give to them for the people to like them back. You see that now? When they think about how their children will love them, they will focus more on what can I provide for my children materially for my children to love me back. When they think about building a bond with their wife, they think about the best jewelry to buy for their wife, for their wives to love them back. And when you keep thinking that way, you are depending on your wealth for your livelihood. You are depending on your wealth for your relevance. You are depending on your wealth for love, for your acceptance. Is that making sense to you at all? So to depend on your wealth is poverty. So let's read Luke 12, 16 and 17, and then 20 and 21. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. This is very critical. I don't know if I should try this. I mean, you are seeing here something we said in the previous episode. The rich man found out that his ground was bringing forth plentifully. The next thing that the rich man spoke about is the room where he bestows his fruits. Normally, to determine your harvest, it is what comes into the room for which you bestow your fruit that determines your harvest. It's not what is in the ground. You can have a lot of output from the ground, but if you don't reap it into the room of the fruits where you bestow your storage, you cannot say you have a harvest. You know, we said this earlier, am I correct? So you are seeing the relationship between the ground and the store. It is what you take from the ground and bring to the store that is your harvest. So let's go back to this passage. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? I have so much harvest that all my storerooms are now filled up. So I don't have space to bring more things from the farm. But God said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of you. Then whose shall these things be, O my God, which thou hast provided? So is he, hear this now, that laid up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God. This is also telling us various forms of riches. You know, we said that there are many ways to be rich, not just in money. Now you are seeing that there's a riches or richness. What's the English? There's a kind of rich that is described here, and is richness toward God. That in itself is a way to be rich, which we'll look at here. Is that you can be rich in many things, but you also must be rich towards God. Right? We have seen the correlation between the ground and the store. There's an importance that we understand here, that when you have harvest in the ground, whatever that ground represents in your life, you must also have the commensurate determination to reap it into your storehouse. The real problem is that if you begin to depend on your storehouse and think that you are as big as your storehouse, and your storehouse can keep you alive and keep you relevant, then you're a poor man. Poverty of the mind, like I said, is a more chronic situation to worry about than poverty of substance. And this shows the poverty of the mind. This man has any kind of money you want to think about. In fact, he doesn't have enough room to store his harvest. The money is so huge that he's trying to negotiate with the bank that can accommodate his resource. Because he has so much money to store, the issue here now is even the bank, the storage, the room that can contain his harvest. The money is coming in so fast, he has no idea of what to do with it. And then his wealth has made him develop a sense or feeling like he is an untouchable God. Nothing can ever happen to me anymore. I can get anything that I want because I have money. That is a very foolish man thinking. It is poverty to think that your life and your value and your relevance is commensurate to your money. If that is all you derive your relevance from, then you're a poor man. If your confidence, oh, that's the right word. If your confidence is in your money, you are poor. And this is typical of the community of rich people, where you think that your village people should respond to you to the measure of your wealth. Even your wife, whom you loved in your young age, in your youthful years, suddenly can't speak to you anymore because you are so rich, she has no right to talk to you anyhow. Your children are afraid to come ask you questions because you are so rich and they can't come talk to you anyhow. And you expect them to respect you to the degree that you supply to them. That is poverty. A man that depends on his wealth is poor. You see, when life touches you, life has a very funny way of touching people. Life has a very funny way of touching people. And when life touches a person, really touches a person, like life touched Job, you will not begin to realize all the things that money can buy. When life touches a man, small thing, just small thing, with a small doctor's reports, he will not realize. He will say, fly me in the private jet to the best hospital. And everywhere he goes to with his private jet, they are telling him the same thing. That's what we have seen here. Sir, we can't do anything about this. And they give him 6 months to live. At that point, he just becomes aware of all the things that money couldn't buy. And suddenly, he starts calling all his children together to come back home. He's not calling his wife. He's not being so nice to the wife because he comes to an awareness of all the things that money couldn't buy. And nobody should be in that state to discover that reality, that there are things that money cannot buy. All right? You don't have to have life throw certain things at you before you wake up to the awareness of all the things that are more important than money. Everybody has a drive for relevance. I don't think there's any human being who doesn't want to be relevant. I think everybody wants to be important. But if you put all that load on the volume of your cash, then it's poverty. That people must respect me to the degree that I have money. And that's a terrible life to live. Oh, okay. I didn't even check the time when we started.
We have 40 minutes gone already.
14?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so number 2 in this episode is number 3 here, but number 2 in this episode. The number 2 kind of poverty of the mind is those who are envious of what other people have. You're looking confused. Do you know them? Oh, I know them. I know them. I've seen people 10 times more comfortable than I am, and they are still envious of me. I've seen people who are way richer, way powerful, way influential, envious of people that can't even measure up to them. There are even those who have so much going on in their lives beyond even money. Good family, good house, good job, good everything. But they're still envious of the one thing that their friend just acquired, that they don't even need. You see that now? That is a sense of poverty. That sense of of craving for everything that you don't have. No, let me rephrase that. The sense of craving for everything that somebody else has is different. So you have 4 beautiful cars, SUVs, probably worth 50 million naira each or more. And then somebody buys a smaller car, and that is his first car, and you are envious of that. You have 4 cars, beautiful cars, you barely use them. Somebody buys a bigger car, and you are envious of that. You have 5 beautiful houses across the states, across the country, that you barely stay in. Your friend just built a new house, and you are envious of that. If you are always envious of what people have, whether it's bigger than what you have or it's smaller than what you have, you are a poor man. If you can't develop a heart that is genuinely happy when people progress and leave it just at that, then that is a kind of poverty. Some people will tell you, oh my goodness, I'm so happy for you. Amazing. Oh, wonderful. And then deep in their heart, they're like, why not me? Or I must buy that one too. Oh no, why? Why must you always buy what people buy? Why must you always have what people have? You have 3 beautiful daughters. Why must you have a son? Why? Is there something somewhere that says that a daughter is less than a son? Then you now have 4 lovely sons. You don't have a daughter. Your friend gave birth to a girl. You say, me too, I must have a girl. Why? The reason that this is dangerous is that such people usually premise their cravings on what people procure. So they usually don't need the thing until somebody else has it. This kind of people, many things that they desire are not things that they desire on their own. Those desires usually stem from what other people acquire. Once your desires are driven by the acquisition of others, it's possible that you are afflicted with envy. And it's a terrible affliction. It's a terrible disease. You need to be cured. That everything that you want to have them because somebody else has it. Everything you want to have. It's okay to want a new car. It's okay to want a new house. It's okay to desire a daughter. It's okay to desire a son. But if the only reason why you begin to desire them is because somebody else has it, then there is a sickness going on. It's called envy, rooted in poverty thinking. So I have nothing against the things you want to have, but I have everything against the fact that you always want to have them after somebody else's victory song. Then you now realize that I also want it. This is different from being inspired by other people's story. Are you following me now? This is different. That because Michael suddenly bought a new car, it inspired me that me too, I can own a car one day. That's a whole different scenario. The energy for that thought is different from the energy of envy. That because my friend just bought a new house, one day. You will tell your friend that, this is your house, but it has encouraged me. Now I am inspired. I know that one day I can buy my own car. In fact, pray for me. That is when you are inspired. It's very different from the energy of when you are wallowing in envy. Now, I wrote a few things here, which I may touch on them, or I leave them for a different series. I think we're going to have a series called What You Have Is Enough on our channel on YouTube. But let me just run through this very quickly, but I will not dig deep. Is it okay? All right? It's not okay? Okay, so I said there are 6 kinds of people. And I'm sure that maybe many of them are from Damilola's place. There are 6 kinds of people. There are 6 kinds of people. So number 1 kind is those that, so I want to just categorize them, all right? There are those that talk about what they don't have. Every time you talk with them, the number 1 category is that there are those who are always talking about what they don't have. And I put there excuses. Every time you ask them, how are you doing? How is your life? They will educate you intimately about what they don't have. My brother, God is helping us, but my daughter's admission till now, he has not come. The house, Kuma, where would they try find? We never get them. My wife applied for a job till now, it has not come. I wanted to even go to Lagos to buy new shoes to sell, but the transport money, I no get. They will always tell you what they don't have. It's a poverty thinking. They are full of excuses. They will give you 1,001 reasons why things are not working on the premise of something that they don't have. And if you've listened to me before, you will know that I keep saying that your life is never an outcome of something you don't have. Everything that you are and everything that you have is premised upon something you've been given. Your life is not the way it is. What you have and what you are is not the way it is because of what you don't have. That's what I'm saying. At every point in your life, you are an outcome of what you have done with what you've been given. Even if what you've been given is pain, you can trade pain for victory. You can trade pain for wisdom. You can trade pain for growth. So the real test of life is, what have you done with what you have? So when you keep giving excuses about what you don't have, you are a very poor thinker. Because your life is not an outcome of what you don't have. You are a direct expression of what you do with what you have. However small it is. However bad it is. However ugly it is. There are people that have been given good things and still end up badly. There are those that have been given good things, rich parents, good home, good training, but they're still struggling with drugs. Because their lives isn't just an outcome of what they have. Their lives are the outcome of what they have done with what they have. There are those that come from very bad homes, but they have very great lives now. Right? They have taken the lessons from the bad home and the bad history and made a future for them that is way glorious than where they are coming from. So it's not about what you have, it's what are you doing with what you have. Right? So number one is that there are those who always talk about what they don't have. Number two, there are those who always talk about what other people have. All the time. Good or bad. Gossip or gist, it doesn't matter. They are always talking about what other people have. Whether it's what people have in terms of problem or what they have in terms of victory. But they are always talking about everybody else but their own lives. And I call them, the group we're addressing, envy. Number three, there are those who always talk about what they should have. I call it entitlement. They are paying me 50,000, but the way I work here, they should pay me 100,000. I have a degree in architecture. I should have had a better job. But it's the way life is. Life picks some, life drops some. They will always educate you on what they should have, what they qualify to have, what they merit to have, but they don't have it. It's entitlement. The way I've labored with my wife, this is the way she should respect me. But I don't know why she's always like this. It's always what they should have. That sense of entitlement. Nobody is helping me. Nobody is helping me. Nobody is helping me. It's a sense of entitlement. So they always talk about what they should have. There are those who always talk about what they can have. Is prospects. They will give you 20 plans, 15 visions, 85 dreams of what they can do and what they are planning to do. I wanted to say Lagosians, but forgive me. But there are those that always talk about what they can have. And yet, they have nothing. They have nothing. He just talks. I have someone like that in my life. Every time we talk, he's always telling me big ideas. This guy, I'm telling you, big and really fantastic ideas. My wife knows him very well too. Fantastic idea, this guy. And we always end up in the same place. Great. In fact, if you had 2% of this guy's ideas, you'll be a millionaire. But there's nothing to show because he's always in a prospect mode. The next and the fifth is those who talk about what they have lost. You see, talking about what you have lost and what you don't have are two different things. Right? So there are those who want to just provoke pity and keep telling you what they've lost, how they've lost a child, how they've lost a husband, how they've lost a wife, how they've lost a job, how they've lost a business. I have lost many businesses, right? But there are those that will premise every conversation on what they have lost. And lastly, of course, the real guys to look out for are those who celebrate what they have with gratitude. And that is the thinking of a rich person. They always put the focus on what they have. And they see the potential of what they have. They respect what they have. They see what they have. You know, many people are blind even to what they have. They have it, they can't even see it. Because they look for every reason to make them feel like my life is not where it should be. But there are many things in your life that are working. And there are many things that are not working in your life that is a blessing to you, that they are not working. You see that now? Yes. It's a blessing to you that they are not working. But many people don't see that. All right, so the time is moving so fast. Okay, so let's deal with the next symptom of poverty. It is those who cannot share their riches with other people or raise other people. The other symptom of poverty are those who cannot share their riches with other people or raise other people. Proverbs 11:24. There is that person that scatters and yet increases. You know, we said in one of the episodes on this series that in this kingdom, we become more by what we give, not by what we keep. Do you remember that? Yes. So there are those who scatter and yet increase. Proverbs 11:24. And there is that withholdeth more than is meet. Oh my goodness. So there's nothing wrong with withholding. I see that now. Because to multiply, you must withhold some. If you are into farming, you know that even when you plant cassava and you sell, you don't sell all. You have to retain some to replant again. So there must be a withholding. The issue is that this guy likes to withhold more than is required. And what happens? And it tended to what? To poverty. You have what it takes to raise other people. You have what it takes to help other people. But you can't do it. Because you just want to see the alerts. You want to see the balance. You want to see that the money is there. I am more than all of them. And you can't take the risk that if I help him, he might become as big as me. Most people, that's what they think. Like, if I help this guy now, the way he's telling me, sa, it will stop. If I help this girl now, the way she's telling me, ma, it will stop. So they will rather keep you down than lift you up. That is poverty thinking. A man who is truly rich in his mind is legacy driven. And to be legacy driven is to leave something that lives longer than you and looks bigger than you. To build a legacy, you must be driven by something that can live longer than you and build something that is bigger than you. And that something can be a thing or people. And you pride in the fact that this guy that I helped with 200,000 8 years ago even has more money than me now. That is a man who is legacy driven. He's happy because he knows that this man now that he has helped, who has become richer than him, his own children will benefit from it one day. His siblings will be helped by this fellow. You see that now? So he's not afraid to raise other people. You know, the reason why I don't want to say just share riches is that we had taught earlier that there are those that give to you to keep you down. They are giving you, but they're giving you with the intention to keep you down. Right? They are giving you to buy your loyalty and keep you down. No, we are saying that there are people that give, and not just give, they raise. And that's the one that I'm talking about here. There are those that give, but they will never raise. A rich man is the one who is willing to share and willing to raise. A poor man is unwilling to share and unwilling to raise. And even when he shares to keep you down, not to raise you up. And the Bible says that tends to absolute poverty. Now, when the Bible is talking about tending to poverty here, it doesn't mean that the guy will not become broke tomorrow. He may not become broke tomorrow, but he's still in a state of poverty. Is that making sense? The guy who is scattering and increasing doesn't mean that he will have more money. His increase may not be commensurate to cash, but his life is increasing in fulfillment, in destiny, in eternity. He's increasing. In time, he's increasing. Because he's raising people that will build him a legacy. So if I have 100 million in the account, and that's all I ever have, and then, or I raise 10 guys who each also have even 80 million, who has done better? What version of me has done better? That I have 100 million, and that's all I'll ever have. Or I raise 10 other guys who don't even have 100 million. Let's even say they have 50 million. In the long run, which version of me has achieved the most? The latter. Because even though my net worth is 100 million, I have raised 10 people whose combined net worth is 500 million. You see that now? So that is the man that increases. That's the way to increase. It does not mean that this increase is in your account statement. That because I've given 10 million naira to other people, God will double it. God is not a money doubler. So because I've helped people with 20 million, God will double it for me. I will now have 50 million. No, that's not the increase we're talking about here. Is that you can help people and then God will find other ways to increase you. And then you're also being increased by the people you are raising. Because those people in turn will replicate who you are. Now that you are worth 10 million, you have now raised 5 other people that are also worth 10 million. So indirectly, you are worth 60 million. Because your legacy extends to those 5 people. And in many cases, they may live longer than you, or their children will also come around to help your children, or vice versa. But that is the way to increase. Not just by increasing in your own direct worth, because you have helped other people. The increase that I say here is that God will increase your life by the people you are also increasing. God will raise your life by the people that you are raising. And even if you withhold more than is meet to you, the poverty here is not like the money might reduce in your account. But by the end of that life, there is nothing more to show than account statements. That's all you have to show. Nothing else to show. No impact, no legacy, nothing to show beyond his time. That is a very poor life. The next one is those that pursue money. Proverbs 23 verse 4. Labor not to be rich. Cease from thy own wisdom. Oh, Johnny. These two things here are two very... You see, we can stay here. We can stay here for a full series. Here, this scripture. Labor not to be rich. Now, first of all, this first phrase, labor not to be rich, does not suggest that the writer is against labor. He's saying that you can labor, but the motivation for your labor should not be for riches. Now, again, if you read the book Problem Power, my book, you will see that the emphasis there is looking for problems to solve. And in solving problems, you become relevant and you become richer. Because every problem you solve for somebody else is an opportunity to become richer and become more relevant, right? So a man who is rich in his thinking is not searching for money, but searching for problems to solve. A man who is truly rich is not searching for money, but looking for gaps to fill. Am I correct? Years ago, I used to do teachings on greatness, and I would say that a great man is not a man who pursues greatness. A great man is a man who pursues a problem to solve, and then he now becomes the solution. That's greatness. A great man locates a problem, and in his attempt to find the solution, he now becomes the solution. That is a great man. So same thing with riches. You are not meant to pursue after riches. You are meant to find a way to solve problems. When we began the hotel and the restaurant in my state, it was to solve a problem, because I was going there to do a project, and I realized that I couldn't get a proper restaurant to eat, and I wanted to fix that problem. Same thing with the hotel. I didn't like the hotels I was staying in, and then I had to fill that gap. It wasn't with the motivation that I want to make money, I want to be rich. You shouldn't labor to be rich. You should labor. But the motivation for labor should not be wealth driven. So a poor man is a man that is always pursuing after money. But true rich people pursue value, pursue relevance, pursue God's purpose, pursue goodwill, and then as they pursue these things, money pursues them. Seek ye first God's kingdom, and all these things shall be added. That's the pattern. You seek first something that is more timeless, and then all these things will follow you as you follow a timeless value. And that's the way to be rich. So a poor man always pursues money. The next one is that a poor person is a person with deep pockets and a shallow heart, which we talked about briefly in the previous episode. But let's read 1 Timothy 6:18. That they do good. Oh, no, let's go back to this one. I dealt with only this first. I have to say something here. Labor not to be rich, cease from your own wisdom. God began to teach me on this second thing recently. And he was showing me here that when he says cease from thine own wisdom, that is the difference between Jacob and Israel. Jacob was called the supplanter because as a supplanter, you must have your own wisdom at all times. How can I twist their minds to give me money? How can I, even though I'm being nice, even though I'm serving them, it's supplanting. I'm trying to take what is theirs. They don't know it yet. That's a supplanter thinking. And once you're a supplanter, you are trying to depend on your own wisdom. Because you will always need your wisdom to be a supplanter. As Jacob, what can I do to take what is his own, to keep more for myself, to kick him out of the deal, saying? They're always strategizing for themselves and most times against the interests of other people. And that is the Jacob lifestyle. Israel is one helped by God. A point must come in your life that you must trust God enough, trust the process enough to step back and let God and the process work it out. And you have to wait for it. You wait for it because you're no longer depending on your own wisdom. So you wait for it. You see, there's something called barrenness. Barrenness does not respect your gender. Say, I'm a woman now, I have a womb now. No. Barrenness does not respect your gender. There's a scripture about the water that was bitter, that the prophet came and put salt and whatever in it, and then it became sweet. He said the water was bitter, but the land was good. But because the water was bitter, the land became barren. You see that now? There's no wisdom you want to apply in that scenario that will change the situation. You need something superior. But Jacobs will always want to find something that they can maneuver, They were very calculated people. Those are dangerous people because they are always in with you for a very, very strange, hidden, secret, ulterior motive. They are always supplanting, trying to take what is not theirs, trying to keep what is not theirs, trying to knock you out of what is yours, trying to put their interest before anything else, in spite of how they are behaving like they want your interest. Like Jacob the supplanter, who gave food. The guy just said, Esau, please, bro, I need to eat. I beg, give me food. Yeah? He said, sell me your birthright. Just give your brother food. Just give your brother food. That is a thinking of a supplanter. And that's the other part of the scripture. Labor not to be rich, cease from your own labor. And when God began to teach me this about Jacob and Israel, it broke me. And I began to pray, Lord, kill every Jacob in me. Oh yes, I was awake one night and I prayed that prayer like my CD has skipped. It was on repeat. Lord, kill every Jacob in me. Lord, kill every Jacob in me. Lord, kill every Jacob in me. And in some cases, as I was saying that more and more, I was seeing the traits of Jacob. And this Jacob thinking always tends to penury. In the long run, you will lose so much more than you are trying to keep because you are relying on your own wisdom. All right, so to the next point. Those with deep pockets and shallow hearts. If you go to the previous episode, we said a lot about this. But let's just make reference to this scripture. 1 Timothy 6:18. That they do good, that they be rich in good works. Damilola, are you seeing that rich again now? The first one we saw was rich towards God. Oh my God. This is now be rich in, these are ways to be rich. So all these motivational things we are hearing and all their riches is money, I don't understand it. There's a way to be rich, and it's to be rich in good works, ready to distribute, willing to communicate. And I will say something in here about that they do good. This simple statement here is very profound. That just, can you have the mind, just do good? We don't have to know your name. You don't have to post it. Can you just do good? Can you just do good and expect nothing? I've had families who have asked for my phone numbers because of something we did for their children, scholarship or something, and they want to call to say thank you. I say, thank me for what? He said, no, sir, please, just one call, just one. My mother just wants to talk to you, just one. I said, no. Just do good. Just do good. And let it be enough that what you have done is good. Can it be good enough that we just do good? And that nobody sees it, nobody says it, but in fact, sometimes you're not even properly thanked for it. But just do good. And number two is that, can you be rich in good works? Can you put some emphasis in becoming rich in the portfolio of good works? Just doing good. Just being there for people that can't be there for you. Loving people that can't love you back. Helping those that can never help you back. Can you just be rich in good works and distribute? Just give. Just give. Send out. Distribute. But this one I want to add here is important. In my understanding, he said also be willing to communicate. Oh my God. You see, when you tell somebody that you look up to, you say, sir, please, I've seen the way you are going. Your life is really an inspiration to me. I would love to learn from you. Can you just please share with me a few things that can help? You say, my brother, is God, oh. Is God, oh. I began early in my life, but it's God, oh. You know why? They are unwilling to, they can't tell you what they are doing right to be where they are. Because they don't want to distribute their wisdom. The one that God has used to lift them. They can't communicate it. And it's important to communicate. I'm just trying to explain this by my understanding of it. That as you distribute, you also communicate. Don't just give me the fish, teach me how to fish. And if you retain this knowledge alone, but nobody can know how you get what you get, how you meet who you meet, how you know who you know. There's a problem. There's a problem. Okay, so let's quickly move. It's already 40 minutes, isn't it? Okay, so let's try and close this series. If we don't do this now, we'll have to do another episode on this series. I would like to close this series on this episode. The next point is that a poor person is a person whom all he has is money. I've said this many times before, that if all you have is money, you are poor. If all you have, it simply means that the day the money goes, everything goes. But there are those of us that if money goes today, there are many things that will stay. There are those of us today that if money goes, there are many people that will stay. But for some of us, the moment money goes, everybody else will go, everything will go, because everything and everybody was built on the money. So once the money is gone, everything goes with it. No timeless impact, no love, no loyalty, no commitment, So once money goes, everything goes. That is poverty. That is poverty. That is poverty. So if all you have is money, you're a poor person. Luke 12:15. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life doesn't consist in the abundance of the things that he possesses. A man's life doesn't consist in the abundance of the... We're not in argument of the abundance of things that you possess, but if your life consists of it, that is poverty. If that's all there is to your life, of the things that you possess, that's poverty. Because the moment you take that thing away, everything collapses. And that is poverty. And lastly, is that a poor person is a person that loves the gift above the giver. God is the giver. God is the giver. And let me say something here. There's no one who is truly successful that doesn't have a force backing him or her. Nobody. I promise you, I can swear on my life. There's nobody who is genuinely great that does not have a force backing them. It might be ancestral, it might be occultic, it might be anything, and it might be God. But do not assume that people just get to where they are by only hard work. And the giver of all good things, ultimately, is God. God is the only one that gives you from a place of love. Right? So the day that you begin to love the gifts more than the giver of the gifts, you are tending towards poverty. The day that you think you can manipulate ways to promote your love for the gifts at the expense of the giver, you are tending towards poverty. And my hope is that your giver is God himself. Because any giver outside God is actually a taker. Any giver outside God is actually a taker. He said to Moses, tell them that I am sent you. He is the I am that I am. That means anything that you are that does not begin with the I am will collapse. So if you are saying I am rich, I hope that the I am before the riches is God. If you say I am healthy, I hope that the I am before the health is God. If you say that I am blessed, I hope that the I am before the blessed is God, because there is only one I am. And he is the giver. And the giver must always come above and beyond the gift. Your love for the gift must never exceed your love for the giver. All right, guys, so this brings us to the end of this series, The Rich and the Poor, and then stay with us for the next series. God bless you. We love you.